Wasbir, indeed, a big question that arises at this point in time. Are drones being used as far as the violence in Manipur is concerned? The state government, of course, has also acknowledged the same.
Raunak, the violence has been taken to a all new level with the use of drones today to drop bombs that has already killed one woman and injured another. And now the state government, as we have been reporting since this evening, for the first time acknowledged that they are aware, they have learned of the use of drones by quote-unquote Kuki militants, as the state government calls it. The state government described that Kuki militants have used sophisticated drones to drop bombs, and they have described the incident as unfortunate. Now, the big question is, if drones are indeed used then today in the attacks that has led to the death of one woman, I think the violence, we can easily say that the violence has been elevated to a new high. It is new technology being used by the militants or miscreants, whatever we call them, in this present ethnic violence that has completed more than a year, that has almost about to be 1.5 years now. Now, the point is, the violence escalated a day after Chief Minister Biren Singh said in an interview to news agency PTI that the state cannot allow the dismemberment of Manipur, and he had categorically said, the Chief Minister had categorically stated in that interview to news agency PTI that the state will not allow any separate administration in the hills. That means the Chief Minister has categorically stated that there cannot be any division of Manipur. Of course, in the same breath, the Chief Minister stated that, there is already autonomy in the hill areas, or there are autonomous councils, and the state is willing to consider whether more autonomy or more powers can be granted to these autonomous district councils. And the Chief Minister has also stated that there is need for more development in the hill areas. But the operative part of that rather long interview, where the Chief Minister stated in no uncertain terms that the separate administration cannot be granted and that Manipur cannot be divided. So he was extremely clear. Chief Minister Biren Singh was extremely clear in that interview to news agency PTI that the PTI has, of course, put out this interview on its social media handle X in the last 24 to 36 hours. Now the big question is whether the escalation of violence is a response by miscreants in the hills to the response to the statement by Chief Minister Biren Singh. We don't know. Of course, that there are statements from the Kuki MP that talks about a completely different story. The Kuki MP and other Kuki organizations have said in a statement after the escalation of violence today that there was an attempt to ambush Kuki Joe passengers. There is a very critical route, that is being used by the Kuki Joe community, because as we know, the Kuki Joe community, or for that matter, the people in the hills, cannot travel to each other's territory for the last, since May last year, ever since the violence began. And therefore, they are using certain safe routes. And now, according to the statement by Kuki MP and other Kuki organizations, there was an alleged attempt by gunmen from the valley to ambush Kuki Joe passengers, and that was when the firefight began at 2:30 today. Around 2 o'clock today, the firefight began, apparently in an attempt to save the Kuki Joe passengers. And they're saying that the firefight was between armed gunmen from the valley and Kuki Joe volunteers. That is what the Kuki MP statement has said. Now, whatever it is, the escalation of violence does not augur well for Manipur. And the Chief Minister had claimed in that interview to PTI that there are efforts to restore peace, and he had in fact talked about a 6-month timeline within which to restore peace. He hoped to restore peace in the state within 6 months. But today's escalation of violence indicates something totally different. The ground situation has once again become extremely volatile, and the use of drones, if it is true, has lent a whole new dimension to the nature of the violence in Manipur.
Absolutely, Wasbir, as you very rightly said, if this is indeed the case that, the armed men also have in their possession now high-tech drones that they're using in the violence, then clearly this is by far the biggest escalation in violence in recent weeks. And Chief Minister N. Biren Singh's task is clearly cut out for him, Wasbir.
Absolutely, absolutely. Chief Minister N. Biren Singh, after several months of the violence, had finally met Prime Minister Narendra Modi very, very briefly in New Delhi when the Parliament session was on. And of course, the Union Home Minister Amit Shah has held several meetings with the security establishment as well as the governor of Manipur. And as one of the steps we saw was the change of the governor. The governor was changed. Anushree Uike was replaced by a new governor in Manipur. That's the only change that we have seen. And of course, the chief of the army staff had also visited Manipur a couple of days ago and had reviewed the situation. He had traveled extensively in Manipur and had reviewed the situation. But the big question is, today's escalation of violence clearly indicates that Manipur is a highly militarized zone, and the people, different groups, whether it is in the hills, whether it is in the valley, they have in possession of sophisticated weapons, and that is indeed a cause for worry.